What is up, Bagger Nation? Coming to you live from Randy B's Bike Basement
Emporium
Podcast
and
Studios.
Warehouse.
Mixing it up.
Round of applause.
What's up, guys? I'm DJ Seeley. With me tonight, got
Randy B.
Chris Buck Owens.
Buck Owens.
Buckaroo.
Buckaroo. I'm going to adjust these volumes some so we don't have to scream.
What's popping off?
You know, a whole lot right now because we're expecting 2025 Snowmageddon here.
Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
You know, I expect to wake up in the morning to be 2 feet of snow on the ground.
Yeah, that's a big deal around here. And they've been talking about this coming for, a week now at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sat in traffic on the way here. There was 2 wrecks on the interstate. Traffic backed up. Pretty sure everybody was going to Walmart. It's just nuts.
Well, it's the bread and milk. You know, we got to get the bread and milk. I don't know. I never really understood the whole phenomenon behind the bread and milk thing, but as I got a little older, I did understand that a man cannot live by bread alone, according to the scripture. So you got to have some milk to go with it, right?
Like in our parents and us growing up, we would have to stock up on this stuff beforehand. Now we've got like Uber Eats and DoorDash. Can I just DoorDash that stuff? And I mean, if I'm snowed in, do I still expect a delivery of milk and bread?
Okay, I'm gonna make some adjustments here because I can't see him.
No, I'm here. You just have to look through. I mean, you ain't got nothing up here. You can just see through one ear and out the other.
But it would be nice to be able to see you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I was talking to Allison the other day. She had to go to the grocery store and pick up some things, and was talking about how nuts it was. And I was like, what was life like before when we actually had to go to the grocery store and walk the aisles?
Right.
Now she always does Kroger delivery or Walmart or pickup or something. I honestly can't remember the last time we went grocery shopping and just walked aisle for aisle.
Well, all right. So this was not how we were going to start topic-wise, but this is a good one because
Yeah, sure.
This is it's been probably a couple of weeks ago since the holidays. I sat down one day. Everybody was gone, and I started reflecting over my life. Which I'm 57, so there's lots of years to reflect over.
You're only 57. I thought you were in your 60s.
That's right. And remembering, how things used to be, and not to get all nostalgic and emotional from that perspective, because I got emotional while sitting on the sofa. But I started thinking about how things have changed, technology and conveniences, and here's what I come up with: I still have no more time than I used to.
Yeah, I brought up that
Amen.
same thing to her. Like, I said,
Probably less
what
time.
did we do before? And then the very next question is, what are you doing with that time that you used to spend doing that?
Yeah.
And everybody just goes, yeah.
It's kind of like money. It really is. If time has been associated with money over the years, and church teachings and lessons and motivational speaker conversations where you go, okay, so I paid off a debt that I was paying $300 a month on, and 6 months down the road, I should have $1,800 in the bank.
Yeah, it don't work that way.
But I don't have it. Where's that $300 going to? I don't know. It just got and spent on something else.
Bike parts.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But seriously though, it's crazy. All right.
So it is wintertime here. Obviously, that's what got us down this rabbit trail.
Yes.
So one thing we had mentioned talking about tonight was winterizing your bike. If that's something you do, what that process might look like for you, and then maybe get into what do you typically do over the wintertime when you're obviously not riding. They're talking about possibilities of 6-8 inches of snow here tomorrow in different places, and maybe some ice and sleeting. So riding's probably out for the majority of the biking community for the next few days at least.
Unless you live in Key West.
Yeah, it is Alabama, so we may be back to riding come next Thursday.
That's true.
I was scrolling on the Facebooks, the Instas, whatever, earlier today, and I saw videos and news report, reporters out there on the side of the interstate reporting on conditions. And this dude just goes flying by on a motorcycle with a sidecar. Did you see that?
I saw that.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Up north. Well, look, I've got several people that I follow on social media and that live up, as far up as Michigan and Montana.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a minute.
Yeah, well, of course.
Well traveled.
Wyoming fella, shout out to you, big guy. He lives in Wyoming. 3 months ago, he sent the first picture of him riding in the snow. Mm-hmm. So they're used to it, just like their cars, their motorcycles are used to it. So, they do whatever they do and still try to get in some ride time. For us, it's season round riding for the most part. I say we probably have a handful of days in the course of a winter where it's either too cold or events are happening, ice, whatever that we can't get out in. But for the most part, I think you bring up a good point, asking as far as what's to be done during the winter time for bikes, because when the last rally is over, which for the most part the last rally is Lone Star, which is in Galveston, which is end of October. It's right after Thunder Beach. All of your vendors on all of their social media pages start kind of shooting out, hey, we're getting ready for, off-season building. Here's what we were offering specials. We're offering this, this, and this, and this. So, building is one of them. People that live upstream north, I have no idea what they do. I have not heard a podcast, and I listen to quite a few of any of those guys up there and what they do, other than I've seen some cover them, wrap an electric blanket around them, and tuck them over in the corner somewhere, and that's their winterizing. Mm-hmm. But as far as fluids or anything of that nature, I don't know.
There's really not much you need to do. Certainly make sure you got it hooked up to a battery tender. We're blessed in that our bikes stay inside where we've got adequate power supply to run battery tenders. If you aren't as blessed, and maybe you're having to keep your bike in a shed or one of those cute little zip up bubble deals where power may be an issue, you might want to disconnect the battery.
Yeah.
Most of the Harleys, certainly the baggers, have got security systems on them, so those electronics are running continuously. You certainly don't want to, that first pretty day, go to get on your bike and head out for that ride you've been anxiously awaiting, and
tick tick.
Yep, tick tick.
Yeah, that's not good. I know that there are, like you said, between the battery maintenance and stuff, and but I dare say that at least most everyone that does any kind of mods to their motorcycle probably look to do it, or at least investigate it during the wintertime. With the first rally being around the corner, we are at, this is January the 9th. We are less than about, around 45, 50 days away from Daytona. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, they're busy through Thanksgiving. They're busy through, Christmas, New Year's, and the holidays, family, and everything's going on. But all of a sudden you wake up and it's January the 9th, and you're like, well, what's next? I mean, I told somebody the other day, after Christmas and New Year's, I'm ready for the sun to come out and the temperatures to warm up.
Yeah.
I'm done with the cold weather.
Yeah, I was looking at my Facebook memories yesterday, I think it was, and I had my bike jacked up in the basement. And I think the My tag on it was, "It's raining outside. I can't ride, but she is clean."
I mean, and that's an important part, right? I mean, I've cleaned mine 2 or 3 times. Dust gets on it, so I go down and wipe it down again. And we took a ride here, a couple of weeks ago, I guess. Now down to South Alabama, visited Woody, and that was a fun ride. A little bit cool, but definitely fun. But that was the first time I've been on mine. I mean, since I got back from the fall trip, I've only ridden 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been rainy and cold off and on, and the mixture's not been the same. So in other words, the weekend that it was cold, it wasn't also raining. So it was cold a weekend, and then the next weekend rainy. Just wasn't exact conditions for riding in. But anyway, and of course we've had things going with all the holidays and activities as well. But people start planning. What they're going to do. I've seen people posting, "Hey, I'm going to put cams, I'm going to do that and this." And I talked to Chris with Cycle Solutions today, matter of fact, for about an hour. I was kind of surprised that he was willing to give me that kind of time, but we talked as if we'd known one another forever. And I could tell he was driving, so maybe he was just bored and needed something to do. But we started talking about builds and his kits that he's got, and he was telling me how they ramp up. And this time of year, like Michael Cash with Suicide Choppers, they start building and doing their harnesses. I talked with Joey with All About Customs, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, what are you doing this winter? What do you do?" He said, I'm building all my parts. I get all my stuff ready." He said, "Because we're on the road from March 1st till end of October."
Yeah.
So he's created a new harness for his for the air rides that they install. He's building harnesses this winter. Chris said with Cycle Solutions, they're CNC machining some billet aluminum for. I'm shaking the table, ain't I? After I just got through saying don't do that. For some of their build kits, so the vendors are getting ready.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of all the riders kind of putting their agendas together and their plans, so that when they get down there, they know what they're going to do.
So if these guys are building, essentially what they're going to be bringing to the first rally, and then stock up for rally season, when are they doing their R&D? When are they developing new products?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I could ponder it a minute.
Yeah.
I think we've talked to a couple of our friends that are in the industry and with vendors, Kevin with Reinhardt, some of the others, and I think R&D for the most part is ongoing with these guys.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Depending on who you're. Yeah, so you take Reinhardt. Reinhardt, I'm sure, has their own R&D division that works year round.
Probably.
Following new models and new EPA guidelines and all those kinds of things. Your smaller players, maybe your Suicide Choppers, I imagine if I was him, I'd go into a rally and just kind of see what the trends are. See what people are doing,
what they're wanting, what they're buying.
And try and give people what they want.
Yeah. Well, they're also trying to improve on their own product. In Joey's case, he's developed, Dirty Air gives him the systems. They make the systems. But he's developing his own switches and harness rigging for the systems that allows for easier install, easier maintenance down the road, and things of that nature. So some of that's things they bring up. Michael and them are the same way. They developed these sissy bars and these luggage racks and all the things that they do. But then they start trying to figure out ways to improve upon them, and I think that kind of stuff is ongoing now. Harley, some of your bigger people, even Reinhardt, Vance and Hines, some of these guys, they're probably out there and got crews in the background that are year round doing, R&D and trying to meet EPA regulations and all that crap.
Yeah, they got the resources, the personnel to do that ongoing, right?
It's it would be a fun world to be a fly on the wall in, just to kind of see how they function and what they do. I know we've been invited up, not a specific date, but invited to kind of plan to go up to, with Kevin up to Reinhardt's area and do a kind of a tour walk around one day, but even that, he was like, well, there's still only so much you're going to be able to see and so much you're going to be able to be a part of. He said, because, there's lots of secret stuff that goes on behind the walls.
Proprietary stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Stuff you got to sign an NDA and like fork over a kidney and stuff to be able to see.
That too.
Yeah.
So, the wintertime maintenance, now that's different.
Yeah.
Winterizing your bike, there's not, like my boat, for instance, when I winterize it, if it's going to be outside, I'm going to make sure all the water's out of the foot, and some other, and all the lines and the pumps and the live wells and all, because we don't want that to freeze. But you don't really have that problem in motorcycles. So I don't think there's tons of that to do. I think if you get a chance to ride in the winter, it's good to keep the oil pump and the parts and machine, moving. But if you don't, and the cold is just too much for you, then definitely the tender and some stuff. But wintertime maintenance, if you ride a lot in the spring, summer, and fall, and, you don't really take time there if you go to rallies and you don't do all the oil changes stuff, well, guess what? When wintertime comes around, that's time for that. Whether it's just an oil change or a 3-hole change or, tires and balancing and of course cleaning. After I got back from the fall trip, at one time or another, I've had each one of these completely torn down to the most I felt comfortable without having to call somebody to put it back together. And I had Q-tips and an aerosol and spray, air gun and everything. I cleaned.
Yeah.
And that can take, that was a 2 or 3 day event for each bike.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, when you get through, hey, I'm ready for spring.
Yeah, I'd say that's kind of my thing. Wintertime, try and catch a rainy day when there's nothing else going on, and put the bike up on the jack and just clean the snot out of it. Also, over the wintertime, do a 3-hole change, whether the bike needs it or not.
Right.
It's just wintertime's a good time to do it. And I want to touch on something that we talked about builds, and I hope that if you're planning a build that you're being deliberate about it, and planning it. And I would encourage any new riders out there that, don't buy a bike and then riding season gets there and you're hanging out with your buddies and you're doing all your riding and you're hearing about all their builds that they've done. And then mid riding season decide you're going to do a tear down and build. That's not a good time to do it. I would be reluctant to tell you that you're always going to be able to just pull that bike in the shop and get cams put in or whatever you're doing and pull it out a few hours later good to go, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to get into. A bolt's going to break. You're going to need these parts and pieces.
Experience, right?
Oh yeah, this comes from experience, guys. Luckily, everything worked out for me, but it can evolve and turn into more than you anticipated, and sometimes that part that you need maybe a few weeks out, and then before you know it, riding season's over by the time you get your build finished, and you missed out on some good times. It's better to just be patient, think about what you're going to do, and then take advantage of the off season to get that done. And then if there is a hiccup, you know what, you probably didn't miss much anyway. Certainly didn't miss much riding time anyway. And then you can finish that build and be ready to go next spring.
Right. I agree with that 100%. If you've if you followed us and looked at any of our videos and podcasts, some of our earlier ones, that's what we talk about. Some of that stuff. We tried to be a part of helping someone not make the same mistakes we did, especially myself. I think, I was one of the first of our group. There's several that we kind of ride with and hang out with. But I was one of the first to do some work, and I didn't have any regrets of what I did, but I did have regrets that I didn't do some things. Mm-hmm. And then when I did my next bike, I took it a little slower and learned that lesson. So we try to encourage everyone we speak to, and I dare say that there's hardly a month goes by, I guess, that I don't have a conversation with somebody that owns a motorcycle, whether it's at the place that I get my hair cut, once a month or so. A little girl in there owns a bike, and she rides, and her boyfriend rides, and we talk down there. So no matter where we go and what we're doing, there's somebody got questions. Hey, what about this and what about that? And but DJ's right. Don't assume anything when it comes to a build. Make sure that you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. And they like to hear me use the word due diligence, so I'll say that a couple times. But do it, and then have it all together. Look, there's nothing wrong with doing a build at a rally. Like I talked to Chris, and he said they do several of them, but they plan them weeks and months in advance. So all the parts are there, everything they could potentially need, or have contingencies for things that could go wrong. But I'll tell you something else too. He talked about, and he said doing builds at rallies like that. He said they like for you to do it early, like for you to be there for a few days, because they want you to put about 600 to 1,000 miles on it before you leave them. And I was like, I know that from buying a new one, but I really never put much thought into that from an aspect of having a build done at a rally, because I've done stuff at the rally, but not necessarily motor work. So I never really contemplated that, because he was talking about if we did anything, we would do it on the front side, and then I would ride around for a few days and put some miles on it, and then come back by and let them, tweak everything and go from there. But anyway, yeah, it's important to make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's on that.
Okay, so my role in this whole thing is I have so much less knowledge and experience than you guys. I grew up riding, but as far as the Harley world, I'm still new to it. So I guess speaking from questions from somebody who is brand new to all this stuff, I've got a question about the whole winterizing thing. What are your thoughts on fuel stabilizer, and is that something that is necessary? Because I've read some stuff. There's some people that say if it's going to be sitting for a couple of months, drop a cap full in there. What's your brand of choice? If so, and do you use it? What's the deal with fuel stabilizer?
I do not use it. I do not intend for the fuel to be in the tank long enough to break down. Next question, please.
Okay, what is that? How long does it take that fuel to break down?
I really don't know. I was just joking there, but
yeah, of course. But
I don't think it's going to be within a few weeks, months.
If you were up north, and we talked about earlier, in some of where they put them up for 2 or 3 months,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
no, not maybe.
Still a maybe.
Not maybe, but
yeah.
I probably would.
And different parts of the country have different, qualities of fuel available to them. We're lucky here, 93 octanes readily available. A lot of places have non-ethanol.
Tire pressure can become an issue. Don't just jump on the bike and take off. Always check your tire pressure. One ride to the store and back, or go to eat and come back on a 50-degree warmer day is probably not going to do much damage, but it don't take much for a motorcycle tire to start cupping if you ride it a lot on low air pressure.
Very good point.
About every 2 weeks, I check all of mine and bring the hose over and fill them up. And like any other tire, automobile, any trailer, whatever, you want to always check the air and make sure they're full when they're cold, not when they're hot. So, that's a big thing. That's not something that's an immediate danger, but if you go to riding it for a long period of time, or if you don't check it at all and you just jump back on it riding season, and you're going to have problems.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Well, Randy mentioned we were down a few days ago at the last ride of the year, and what's super exciting is when you go to something like that's 250 miles away from home, mm-hmm. and you pull out of the gas station and your check engine light comes on.
Yeah,
So that's one thing I'll be doing this winter is addressing that check engine light. Luckily, the water temperature light came on with it, so I was pretty confident it was just the coolant pump on the Tri-Glide. But I went and picked up that new GM the other day. It's sitting down in the basement and ready to go in whenever I get to feeling froggy.
When you don't have anything else to do it.
Right.
Well, anytime an engine light comes on, period, on any vehicle or any whatever I've got, it's a concern. But when I'm on two wheels or maybe even three wheels and 250 miles away from the house, yeah, that's a little bit of a what the. But you were able to get home. We rode, it was a 400 and almost a 500-mile day.
Yeah. Allison was with me, so I, bless her heart, I can't make a big deal out of it, right? I see the light come on, okay. And then, 10, 15 miles down the road or something, she leans over. Is that your check engine light?
That's where you get the tap on the shoulder,
It's okay, babe. We're not going to die. Are you sure? Pretty sure. Pretty sure we're not dead. So no, I called Josh, mechanic buddy of ours, said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Bike's running fine. And for those of you that don't know, the limited models, ultra limited, the Tri-Glide Ultra, they have liquid cooled heads. Everything else about the motor is pretty much the same. So, in my mind, I'm going, okay, if this was my Road Glide, it wouldn't even have this water pump. It wouldn't even be cooling these heads. It's 50 degrees outside. I'm not going to run this motor hot. We're not sitting in traffic or anything like that. So I was comfortable with just riding it out, and called him. He confirmed, yeah, that's probably it. You'll be fine. Take it to the house. And it never gave me a problem at all.
And we weren't on the interstate, so I think our top speeds were, every now and then got up to 65 or 70 on some of the straightaways. But I mean, we were 50 to 60, so not a lot of. But yeah, you're right on the limiteds, the ones that came with the lowers, because that's where they stored the circulating systems for the liquid cool. Yeah. And then the Road Glides that didn't have lowers, or even the Street Glides, they were oil cooled. So even with that, I mean, heck, back in the day, motorcycles didn't have any kind of liquid. The wind did it all.
So cool little Easter egg deal here on the baggers. You can turn your switch to on, roll your throttle. I think it's just got to go to 50%, but you can roll it to 100%, hold it for a few seconds, and that will turn on your cooling fan.
Correct.
And I guess it turns on the water pump as well. You can test those items that way. So I went through that, made sure the cooling fan came on. It did. So I was, that's got to be the pump. I haven't done any further diagnosis on the pump. I just went and bought a new one, and then I'll just put it on, and hopefully that fixes it. But
well, I mean, at the end of the day, it ain't like if you put it on that it was going to hurt anything. So if you got a new pump on there, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I put a and you'll remember about a year and a half ago, I put so the Road Glide is oil cooled, but it does not have a fan on it, but they make a fan to go down underneath. So I put one on it, and that's what, and they have there's a harness outlet down there for the fan. Plug it in and roll the throttle like you was talking about, and it kicks on and it'll run, and it helps cool the oil vents. I don't know that it's ultimately ever helped it. I'll assume it does just because I want to.
Well, Woody asked me if I was afraid the motor was going to run hot or anything. I was like, no. I mean, I really feel like the only reason they cool those heads is for
fuel efficiency
and fuel economy.
Yeah.
You pick up a little bit of fuel economy if the engine runs a few degrees cooler.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I guess with the areas that the oil flows and the water flows, if it just stopped, damage, don't know, but it definitely would get a little hotter, but I don't know. Now, if we were in, August, July, and you were sitting in traffic, and the puppy was running a little hot, and your fan come on and your everything else, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They'd have to do some little more investigating on that because I'm not.
I will say that trike, man, it needs all the help with fuel economy it can get.
I can imagine.
That Joker, now that it's all cammed up,
it's got a drinking problem.
It is a pig, yeah.
Well, it's the whole term of winterizing bikes is really I would say it's kind of rare because, like I said, a lot of the folks that I've know or acquainted with through social media platforms that are up north, their definition of winterizing is putting a canvas cover over it and battery tender on it and shoving it over in the corner somewhere until the sun comes out, so to speak. But whatever that is and looks like for you between, tire pressure and batteries and anything else, oil changes, just, pay attention to it because, no, they're not as expensive as a car or a truck potentially, but, they still cost money. And the last thing you want to do is jump on it in the spring. To your point about having builds, you don't want to jump on it in the spring. Something happened that could have been prevented, and then you're either down for a year or you're down, period, because you can't afford to have it fixed or whatever may be the case.
Yeah.
So
the next thing that happens, winter times, we roll over into a new year. Y'all got anything to comment about the new carryover models?
I think everything went as expected. Watching, some of the other content creators, posting about what they thought. The carryover models didn't change anything but color. And some of those colors, even though they gave them a different name, I'm not really sure
Not a whole lot different.
that they're a different color.
Yeah, not a whole lot different.
Mystic, whatever that color is, purple.
Yeah, it's I like it.
Yeah, I do too. But it's a $2,200 tag.
On top of a $2,200 price hike anyway, right?
That's correct. And there's no stripes, there's no flames, it is just a painted bike that they got $2,200 extra because you wanted a different color than, I guess, black or white or gray.
I'll tell you one thing that I applaud is that they haven't continued, or I guess they've paused production on what I call the Bronco colors. That like flat gray and that flat blue
Gunship gray.
Yeah. I thought that it was interesting they kind of went that route, but
well, let me tell you how to piss off a bunch of CVO owners. All right. You make a 2018 CVO bike with gunship gray, and then the following year you make a regular bike with gunship gray. You talking about a bunch of pissed off CVO owners?
Well, they had committed to a big allotment of that paint color.
They did. They had several million gallons in the warehouse and had to use it.
Yeah.
Couldn't make enough CVO, so let's throw that on some other bikes. But now the colors look pretty cool. There's red and there's some other gray tints that's
bright blue.
The bright blue.
Yeah, they took that. What's that? What's the name of that red or that orange that they did the ghost flames on?
Whiskey orange.
Yeah. That was a good looking bike.
It was.
I was down at Heart of Dixie. They had the purple one. They had the one with the ghost flames. I think they're doing ghost flames on a black color as well.
So they're giving you the option for chrome or black trim.
Right.
And then you got billiard gray, which I think took the place of the gunship gray.
Yeah. A little shinier though.
It is.
Got some more reflection in there.
Vivid black, charging you $600 for that. Harley, come on, you got to do better. Atlas silver, it's just a little lighter. But your blue burst is a little brighter than the blue for 2024.
Yeah.
Brilliant red, that's pretty bright. It's hard to know these pictures. Iron Horse metallic, and then of course the Mystic Shift, the purple one, which
I'm digging the Whiskey Fire.
Yes, the Whiskey Fire is
out.
the one with the ghost flames. That didn't work well.
For those of you that's not watching, you're just listening. We're
But
actually
it's cool.
have our
So those
iPads,
are their
we're looking at them, so.
their factory customs, I think is what they were calling them. So it's on the badging.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Another thing y'all probably didn't look at or notice, but they brought the Tri-Glide Ultra to giving you a black trim option on it this year, which they've not done before. So that was, I haven't seen one in person yet, but Heart of Dixie said they had one in. They had just not done the PDI on it, brought it out on the sales floor yet, but interesting to see what they're doing there. And I'm anxious to see one of those. I'm not really I'm not a black trim fan for the most part, but I think it's cool. They're giving the Tri-Glide a little love.
You talking about this stuff around?
No, all the engine treatment. It'll have black wheels.
Blacked out is more the term.
Oh, okay.
Go to that trim. Select.
The Tri-Glide's only a chrome on here on the website anyway.
Well,
they have it in a black option. It's just not on there.
That's cool.
Yeah, they.
I dig that.
I've always been an old school chrome guy. Up until these two bikes that I have now, I wasn't seeking the blacked out version. It's okay. I love it on the Mako just because it's more of a gloss black, so it kind of, and part of the bike has got a black tint to it, the top of it, so that kind of goes. But the bronze armor has got a bronze armor, heat shields and top to the rocker box and some other stuff that kind of matches in well with the wheels. So it's not totally black, but I don't have a bike with any chrome on it at the moment. So
yeah, and I don't mean to say that I don't think everything else is not as good or whatever. Allison, my Ultra Limited's blacked out, and she calls it the blacked out bike every time she asks me which one I'm going to ride. Are you riding the blacked out one or are you riding the number one? So it's
One,
blacked
two,
out,
three,
and
or
she
four.
thinks it's the best looking bike I got. So, there's that.
well, there's the fancy the New
There it
Year
is.
new trikes.
Oh yeah, okay. I see it now.
The front page is back up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, we were on their website earlier and it was giving us an error message on the main homepage.
we got errored out. So
So official release has not happened yet. That's towards the end of the month. We'll get some info on the new models that are not the carryovers.
So what? We just got previews here on the website, or what?
No, so you can see the models that carry over from one year to the next
Right.
without any change, and then from that you can kind of deduce which ones they're going to make changes on
I got you.
and involve in this press release. So
I got you.
that's
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
and to DJ now, we've always funned around by saying that they put chrome pushrod covers on every single bike, regardless of the package, because they've got 3 million of them on the shelf somewhere, and they've just got to use them all up.
Right.
So I am sure that these bikes that got no facelift, they just made a big change last year. Okay, putting the lights in the fairing, and I thought it was a pretty cool change. I mean, initially I had to look at it. It grew on me, but
I struggled with it at first.
it looks pretty cool. But they made some pretty major changes with the infotainment system and some other things on the bike. So nobody
It's almost like they
expected-
said,
yeah.
"Here's looking at you, Indian.
Yeah.
Hold my beer."
I mean,
That's right.
Well, they
Wait
have
till
been
you
lagging
see what we
behind.
can do with lights in the fairing.
Yeah.
Cha-ching. But I didn't expect anything major changes this year. So like DJ said, now the ones that they, on the 22nd of January or 23rd, that's when we're going to see, your changes. Whether it's to the CVOs or the breakouts, the soft tails. You're going to start seeing some redesigning. I think personally, I think the breakouts do for a little bit. They've done a few things to it over the years, but we haven't seen a CVO breakout. I don't think we will this year either, but I'm just saying we haven't seen a CVO breakout since 2017, but the 17 CVO breakout had a twin cam in it, did not have an M8. And there are some other bikes that they haven't seen CVO versions in them in a while, and they haven't had any, modifications. Your limiteds, your ultra limiteds didn't get any modifications last year. They were the same old year fairing. So is that going to be new? I would think they could probably do the same bike and just put the new fairing on it and call it a day.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with a number of people. I was really shocked that they didn't come to market with an ultra limited with the new upgrades. So I feel like that's just got to happen. I know that the word on the streets, they're trying to target the younger crowd and get younger riders in. But, Randy and I have had the conversation. If you go to one of these big group rides, man, it is an ultra limited game. Like you can be in a 200 bike ride and it's ultra classic, ultra classic, ultra classic, ultra limited, ultra limited, ultra limited, and then something else. So,
I mean, these guys that are touring, whether it's 2Up or the guy himself just likes touring with his buddies, you can't look past the practicality of that bike.
man, I love my limited, man.
I mean, the other day when we went, I mean, in all normal settings for me, I'm on the Mako when the wife's not with me.
Mm-hmm.
But the other day I knew I was going to have some extra stuff because it was cold, and I was like, I'm just going to take the limited. I can throw whatever I want in here and some extras of something else because I've got plenty of space.
I expected you to roll up on the PA.
Should have put them Trail Max Dunlops on there and made my way through the cow pastures and going south. Have y'all seen the Advent Black fairing that they are now offering?
I have not.
Well, so while we're on this subject, because this is a big, in my opinion, a big game changer. I didn't expect it. Come out a little bit ago. When I say a little bit, a few months back, based off of Harley's success with their new fairing bikes, they have come out with a fairing that looks exactly like the new one. I'm trying to see if I can find one here because I know they've got one somewhere. Let's go parts.
I'm having technical difficulties over here. I've got saggage.
Yeah, let's see here. I need to see if I can find Tour Packs front fairings. There we go. I knew it was somewhere. Those of you that's not watching, you know where.
I know. I got to get up and go over there, and that's too far to go.
Let's see.
Right. Standing by here while Rainey gets his shit together.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna untechnical my difficulties.
Untechnical your difficulties. That sounds like I'm not sure. I want to know what that's about.
Spit on it.
That was gross, but true.
There we go.
Well, for some reason I don't see it, but
maybe they violated some copyrights.
They may have because they were on the website not too long ago, and they looked exactly like Harley's website. It was Harley's front fairing. Had the lights, everything looked just like them. So, and they actually had it in my color for the bronze armor.
Really?
Yeah, and I was really contemplating getting one. Looked pretty cool. That way, from the front, everybody be like, hey, he's got a new bike.
I'm sure they've got some copyright attorneys that go after. Yeah.
I mean, you would have to think, to be honest with you, that that would all have been secured prior to
surely
exposing, but who knows?
Yeah, surely.
I don't know. I can't find it now, so I'll have to.
Yeah, if you're wanting to sell aftermarket stuff, I'm sure there's some hoops you got to go through to get permissions here and there.
I wonder. I think it was Advent Black. Maybe it was Hogworks. You know, they're like the same company, just with different names. I like it when it flashes. Don't y'all like it when it flashes up like that?
Yeah,
10% off. Give us your email.
Fairings and finnings, fairings, inner fairings, outer fairings. Yep, there they are. So it is Hogworks, not Advent Black. But yeah.
Look at that.
So, I mean, I think that would look pretty cool on the trike.
I mean, it's precious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can get it in black too.
Mm-hmm.
I've already checked.
Mm-hmm. Can you get it black with my pinstripe, or am I going to have to get my pinstripe?
You can. You can. And John can get one.
Yeah.
You know. And he can have his reprogrammed to where you don't have to hit that switch and do all that combination along him. Like he's got a CVO.
Yeah.
John's always wanted a CVO.
He's
blue steel.
He wants that blue steel one, buddy.
We're gonna start a campaign, Woody for blue steel or blue steel for Woody. I don't know which
I hope
one.
he gets it. In recent years, that's one of my favorite
I have to agree.
CVOs. That's a sharp combination. I really like it.
And here's what's crazy about that color is, to me, it's a lot like the Mako. In pictures, you can't really see the real beauty of it. You got to see it in person to appreciate it. Because when I see mine, the Mako, in pictures, like I don't see it like I do in person, and I'm like, oh. So the sun has to be shining just right. Angles got to be just right to be able to really appreciate the colors, and the blue steel is the same. But when you do see it, you're like, damn, that looks good.
When the sun shines through that blue windshield,
Oh.
gives you that rainbow prism effect.
Whoop, whoop.
And
Well, see,
if you want to know what he's talking about, just go to his social media, any of his social medias, Randy B. Look at pictures, and then in the comments he'll put his home address so you can show up and see it in person.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Well, I can see John now riding that road glide at Blue Steel to one of those beach restaurants with the sun shining. He's in his little, chubby shorts and his, tank top and cruising around
Flip-flops?
town. And,
Riding a motorcycle in flip flops.
What did you call him in our last podcast that came to visit us?
I'm not sure I was referring to him.
He thought you was. So I was going to let you go with it.
So
it was the beard.
I know. I knew, but he took it that you were talking about him, so he was talking about
Wait a minute.
It was more like Ozempic, or not Ozempic, but Wegovy now.
Wait a minute. So you whispered that. Was you talking about me?
No.
Beard reference?
And Randy put on the Santa costume.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Well,
Enough said.
we were talking about the podcast setup here.
Yeah, okay.
And I got tickled at myself because they were having this conversation. We were sitting here, and they're talking about, nice setup and all
And in
this.
the camera, you can see him lay back and start laughing
Yeah.
because he just had a grandiose idea.
Yeah.
And the thought was, because it was right before Christmas, that Ozempic Santa had dropped in and hooked us up. Well, my joke recently has been that Randy was, in fact, Ozempic Santa.
Ozempic sound.
But John,
John, I guess, thought I was talking about him.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Being the bigger of the two.
See, that's what
fellers.
I get for missing out on podcasts.
happens.
Yeah. So that was a big laugh.
And speaking of
That's
beards, big change here.
We all have.
Both
like,
of you trimmed a little
yeah.
bit.
Well-
and I just trimmed from here down the other night. So we're going to see if we can get some fill in up here. Allison's not really excited about it, but I try this about every 5 years.
See if you
without
got any more
change.
that'll come out.
Well,
yeah.
if you let that grow, then the rest might come out to play. Just got to let it grow as long as it will.
And I got to say, the wife is happy. Lisa's very happy that I'm back to this is more normal for me, right? I do feel so. To explain where my beard went, for those of you who saw the 1 or 2 episodes that I was in before, when I had a long beard, so I had a real world job interview, and I had to felt like I needed to clean up my look a little bit, so I got a haircut, trimmed up the beard a lot.
Yeah.
And I miss it. I used to sit here and play with it, and I miss that. Now I reach up and there's nothing there.
See, I did the same thing, and when I came back from Sturgis, I thought, I wanted to save it for the Santa suit, so I wound up going with Santa with this beard, which actually didn't turn out too horrible since it's white. But anyway, it's I don't know. I've actually thought about cutting it back. It's short. I love the long beard. I really do.
Yeah,
I like it,
miss
and I like it groomed. I used to make fun of Jeremy on our trips because his was just like it was just in all directions. But I liked mine, and it takes a lot of work to make it look that way. But I hate you can't ride with it.
No,
and
that's
if you put a helmet on, it leaves a crink in the mud.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's easier to ride with the short beard.
Yeah. And riding out in Sturgis with that thing, it just kept popping me in the face. And there was 2 or 3 times out there I almost just took a pair of scissors and just,
Just trimmed it off.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and you ride with glasses on, and it slaps up your glass. You got that film from the beard oil and stuff. I hate that.
yeah, it was crazy. So, well, all right. Just another podcast of some, a few things we've touched on. We've got a laundry list of stuff to touch on, but I think we'll get ready for Snowmageddon around here. I think I've got some milk and bread. I should be good.
It should be hitting in a few hours.
But those of you that do watch and follow, we'll be having some more that'll be coming out and start talking about rallies because, literally we're 20 days from the 1st of February. And this year, I think Bike Week in Daytona actually starts February 28th.
February 28th, yeah.
On that Friday. So, wow, time flies when you do y'all feel that way when you get older? Yep. I know they say it, get out, time, but it really does.
Yeah.
It's just I've been playing some golf with my boys, and I'll stand back there laughing and having fun. I'm looking at them like, God, it was just a few days ago when they were 3 and 7, and I may get all teary eyed here, but I mean, like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it still is just to. My oldest called me the other day. He's got something. He's a grown man. He's about to graduate college, and he had a little something going on. He wanted me to help him pray about, and man, I got off the phone. I just bawled. I'm like, God, this is my son. Give him the right directions, point him in the right way. But man, when they start growing up, and you've all got kids that are grown or growing, and it's crazy.
Had a big dad moment last weekend. So my son Sawyer, 15 years old, had started growing some peach fuzz, started need to get tamed down. So we got out the old razor, and I taught him
how to do.
Yeah, gave him his first shave lesson. So
Nice.
yeah, and then I broke down after that because I was like, and I told him, I've been waiting 15 years, to show you how to do that. That was kind of cool.
I mean, there's life-changing moments often in kids, but to me, there's about 3 or 4 that are substantial.
Yeah.
Graduating high school is one of them.
Yes, sir.
Starting to drive is one of them. Look, and not to, I had 2 boys, all right, so I didn't have any girls. So them coming downstairs and telling us they found a hair was a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. I got one, and the little one, I won't call his name right now because it'd probably embarrass him if he sees this or hears that somebody else saw it. But he would flop it out and show me. Look, right there it is. And I'm just telling you how much I'd give for him to do it all over again.
Yeah.
But those days are gone. Those pecker flopping out, got one hair showing days are gone. It's just it is what it is.
Daddy is.
Yeah,
am I going to get more?
I'm sure he appreciates you telling that
Yeah,
story.
I'm sure he will. He will.
Yeah, but time passes by. We got rally season coming up. Me and Woody just made all of our reservations and bought our tickets for Mama Tried here in a few weeks. We'll be heading up to Milwaukee for that. So look for some content coming out on that. My first trip up there for that event. So a little stoked about it. It ought to be a good time.
I want you to do, I'm going to give you the camera, and I need you to do some serious, on location filming. You're going to be uncomfortable because that's not your world, but it's about to be. Get John involved. It'll help him too.
We'll give it a try.
Yeah.
We'll give it a try.
No
promises.
If you see Jacques Cousteau over there or whatever the Harley CEO is, I don't know you, dude. So I'm, if you were to ever hear this, but just, go over there. Hey, just put the mic in his mouth, see what he's got to say. He may tell you to go kiss off or something. I don't know. But if you see Two Lane Life, get some content from them for sure. I would imagine they'll be there. Seriously though, I would imagine some of the big content motorcycle
long
creators
ways from them.
They'll
It's
fly.
a long ways from you.
Well, they'll fly in.
Yeah, maybe.
This is not a ride. For the most part, this is not a ride to event. This is a drive or fly to. This is more.
I imagine there's not going to be a whole lot of motorcycle traffic in Milwaukee in 2 weeks.
No.
You driving up?
Yes, we'll drive up. We looked into flying. It was going to consume the same amount of time out of my day to fly as it was going to drive. So there wasn't a direct flight from Birmingham there. So with layovers and plane changes and things like that, it
Makes more sense.
makes more sense just drive.
Well, let's talk more about that one and upcoming Daytona and in our next cast. You got it? Does that sound good?
Yep.
Did you guys have a good holiday, by the way?
Yeah, it was great.
Good, good deal.
Some downtime, R&R.
Yep. I know the last one we did was before the holidays, so a lot of traffic coming in and out the doors since then. So.
Yeah, true.
All right, guys, look, Southern Two-Lane, no matter where you go on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Southern Two-Lane, Southern, the number 2 lane, all one word. Hey, give us a like, ring that bell, shout out to us. We're just trying to grow this thing, doing what we love to do. We're not looking to make money. We're not looking to do whatever. Just, we just enjoy communicating with you guys and those around us doing the kind of content that we enjoy, and that's life and motorcycles and whatever else comes along. So in the meantime, God bless. Stay warm because it is cold outside right now in Birmingham, Alabama. It is about 30 degrees. It's only going to get colder. All right?
Yep.
Good one, guys. Appreciate you. God bless.